I've debated hundreds of people about the shape of the Earth, evolution, the Big Bang, young Earth creationism, and more. And now, you can too. Rational Answers to Stupid Questions is my book that covers all these topics and more. Or if you simply like learning about science, I did tons of research and there's lots of great content. The book is available on BookBaby, who did all the design, printing, and editing of my book. If you ever want to write and publish your own book, they have an incredible staff that can make that dream come true. Check out the link in the description. Enjoy the video.
All right, so here's a thought. So let's say that you're in a room, right, and your friend walks into the room and you're looking at a red apple. So you're like, okay, this is an actual apple. This is a real apple. But your friend walks in and he says, yesterday I was watching The Matrix and I saw how Neo saw this lady in red, but then Neo woke up and found out that he was inside a machine with a bunch of wires and stuff hooked to his brain. Electrons and chemicals reactions was essentially what made everything appear as it was, right? So it's all a big...
There's no solution to hard solipsism, including Christian presuppositionalism. We can just skip to the end.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, we do solve that, but
no, you don't.
The main thing is
you don't. An assumption, right? Is not. It does not resolve an argument or a proposition or a hypothetical.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, we do have a resolution, right? And I can provide it, but I'm just kind of explaining everything. Sure. So essentially, what you're granting is that you cannot know that the apple on the table is real or not, if it's a simulation or not, if you're in a dream or not. Right?
Neither can you.
The apple, is it real? Is it fake? No idea. So, non-God worldview, you can't know the apple exists. God worldview, we can.
No, you can't. So because first of all, you can't know that God exists. Mm-hmm. Second of all, even if God exists, that doesn't mean that God can't create a matrix and put you in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can't know that God exists.
Yeah. So essentially, when we're talking about knowledge, right, we're talking about that which we could not be wrong about, right? So knowledge.
Knowledge just means you have justified true belief.
Well, there's a Gettier case, which makes like JTB not such a good thing to hold on to.
Yeah, I've heard of them before.
Yeah. So essentially, knowledge is either certainty, it just has to be certain. It has to be that it's something that you could not be wrong about.
Well, then we can't know anything.
And we can't know. Well, do you know that you can't know anything?
If it can only be absolute, then what? Can we know anything? Doesn't sound like we can.
Okay, so you yes.
Can you just tell me how you know God exists?
Yeah. I mean, we can go into that. All right. So essentially, when we're talking about knowledge, right? Knowledge is that which you could not be wrong about, right? Access to that which is the case. And we're talking about how do you know? Well, now we're talking about epistemology, right? So epistemology is your theory of knowledge. So in the non-God worldview, right? There are many philosophers who have tried to attain, right, this sort of knowledge, right, this sort of certainty that you could not, things you could not be wrong about. So you have empiricists, right? So empiricists like David Hume. So empiricism is essentially to say that knowledge is through the senses, right? See, feel, taste, touch, and smell. Direct or indirect observation. And then you had people who went the other direction, who were the rationalists.
Yes, I know.
So go ahead.
No, I know. I know what you're talking about. Like okay. Newton, he was, and Descartes, they were rationalists.
Yeah. But so the rationalists, so they essentially went through the mind and they were trying to use logic and reason to get knowledge, to get, okay, this is how we access that which is the case. Now, both of these efforts failed, right? So David Hume, right, he was a atheist. He was a very consistent, logically consistent empiricist, and he drove empiricism into the ground. And he came away with, like, you can't know causality. You can't know like that the future will be like the past, and things like that, because these are things that cannot be empirically demonstrated. These are not things that can be either directly or indirectly observed. If it's not directly or indirectly observed, then it's simply outside the bounds of knowledge, essentially. And then the empiricists, they're going through the route of, like, logic, the mind, and they essentially couldn't really get out of the mind. Like, they couldn't get into interacting with the actual world. So there was a problem there as well. And then comes Immanuel Kant. Right? Immanuel Kant sees this sort of issue, and then he came up with the phenomena-noumena distinction.
Yep, a critique of pure reason.
Yeah, the critique of
How
pure
do you
reason.
know that God exists?
Yeah. So essentially, the way that we know, right? The way that we know is that we have a worldview, right? So each of us has, there is a worldview, right? So a worldview encompasses ontology.
Stop telling me what things mean. How do you know that God exists?
Yeah. So you need to do an internal critique, right? Internal critique of the Christian worldview versus an internal critique of the non-God worldview, right? Because we're having a clash, right? A clash of worldviews. So
whether or not my worldview is false doesn't make your worldview true. How do you know that God exists?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. So I guess we can say like this. All right. So we would agree that there is being, right? Being as an ontology, right? So we'd agree that there is being.
There is a universe that exists. Assuming that's what that meant, I agree.
It's like saying, like, there's existence, right? Not just to say that.
Yeah, the universe
not to
is
point
all
at it.
things that exist. Yeah.
Okay, so there's being. Okay, so we agree that there's being, and being precedes one's epistemology, right? It precedes your theory of knowledge. So you need to, like, have being. You need to have existence in order to have a theory of knowledge, right? Like, to come to know things.
Yeah, because anything you would know would be grounded in a physical reality.
Mm-hmm.
You can't
Yes,
know anything about nothing. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Okay,
empiricist
so
of you.
Yeah. So being,
which is ultimately how you're going to justify God's existence, by the way. But go on.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So being precedes your theory of knowledge. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
So, if you start, I'm just trying to think of how to explain it. Okay. Let's see. All right. So being, right? Being is not devoid. Right? Being is not devoid of attributes. So because if being was just devoid of attributes, then it would be nothing, right? You agree?
How do you know that God exists? Or do you just presuppose it? Do you assert that it's been revealed to you?
Like, I'm just explaining it, like, I'm explaining it in very, like, specific terms.
No,
like,
you're not. You're doing what
down.
people from the Midwest do when they say goodbye, which is do anything other than say goodbye and actually like leave, right? How do you know that God exists?
Mm-hmm. So I guess we could just walk through it, right? Like, so being, right? Being has a set of attributes, right? Like, we would agree. Like, it doesn't have no attributes, because with no attributes, it would just, like, it wouldn't exist.
I already agreed that a universe exists.
Okay. All right. So since being, right, being on ontology, like that which is the case, since that has um, a set of attributes, uh, and also the other thing is that being is not an assumption.
Yeah, I didn't rationalize that I exist and that there is a reality in front of me. You don't argue it into existence, you don't rationalize it, you merely experience it.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree.
Have you
Okay.
ever experienced the supernatural to the degree that you know it can't possibly be false?
Yeah, yeah, I
Explain
view
how that
that.
works. How do you know that God exists?
Yes. So yeah. So basically, um, so right. So you agreed, right? You agreed that um, right, you don't assume being. Being is, right. Being is that which is actual. So being is not dependent upon your mind or my mind. Being has a set of attributes. The set of attributes for ontology, right? For being, necessarily, right? They necessarily provide, uh, like you'd hold that they are providing the necessary preconditions for human intelligibility, right?
Yeah, I have no idea what you said. What we've agreed on is that a physical reality exists.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what would justify all like claims about knowledge and reason and rationality. It's always grounded in something that really exists. A reality that we didn't argue into existence, that we experience and that we don't doubt.
Mm-hmm.
No supernatural necessities have been presented. You haven't even begun to tell me how you know God exists. Dude, like literally, you have to wrap. I
Okay,
I've
sure.
been asking
Yeah,
you to do this for
yeah,
15 straight minutes.
yeah,
Stop. Don't talk about anything else. Cuz like I've got it's we've all had enough lulls and I don't care anymore. How do you know God exists?
sure. So yeah, so I'll just kind of finish it up, and then you can like tell me your thoughts and everything. So so essentially, ontology is not an assumption. Ontology is what is. Ontology is not devoid of attributes. Ontology has attributes. The attributes of ontology provide the necessary preconditions for human intelligibility. So these necessary preconditions are that the true nature of being is a mind, right? It's a mind which is revelatory,
Nope.
which is omniscient,
Not a single thing you argued
omnipotent,
said that a mind
omnipresent,
exists.
and always truth revealing. So you agreed, right? You agreed
No.
that there is
You
being,
no.
right? Being is not
Nobody
assumed. Being
ever
is not devoid of attributes.
can you
And
like
these
not hear me?
attributes. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
You never once argued that a mind exists. You leapt all of a sudden to there is a mind, and it makes it, and then you said something about revelation. But grounding your epistemology or metaethics in revelation is completely useless because all I have to do is say the God told me to kick the dog into the ocean. But also, even if that was the case, how is it that God makes you aware of things and reveals things to you? How are you made aware of them?
Hmm. God reveals it directly.
Yeah,
Right?
how are you made aware of it? I didn't ask you what God does. I asked, how are you made aware of it?
Hmm. Yes. So essentially,
No, not essentially. Like in one sentence, in less than 10 words. How does God make you how does God reveal things to you? The answer is through your
like
senses,
the
so you're
argument,
an
you'd accept it
empiricist.
essentially. Like
So
it's no. I'm not. I am not an empiricist.
yeah, you are, because that's the only way
You
you
know.
could possibly
Yeah.
have information revealed to you. You'd have to experience it through your senses.
Mm. it's the
To
only way to know
think
things.
is those are your senses at work.
Okay. Um, yeah.
Yes, I know. I just
Yeah,
said it.
I'm just kind of thinking. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking. I'm thinking about that. Like, just knowing is through the senses.
No, to have anything
And
revealed to
then,
you, you would
well,
be
then
made
what
aware of
about
it
like
through your
nobody?
sense experiences. You're an empiricist. You just presuppose that a magical realm exists, but that's not a grounding, that's not a justification for anything, because something that's presupposed literally means that there is no like justification for it. It can't be further rationalized. It has to be presupposed.
All right. Yeah. So essentially, P1, right? Premise one
No,
is that
no.